him, how you doing? And then he tells me he's all right, you know what I'm saying? At that point in time, right then and there, he was still looking for some dope, right? He felt that I needed to know that. I didn't understand why he wanted me to know that, but he felt that I needed to know that. But he said, look, man, I feel what you're saying, right? What my seller was telling me about, you know what I'm saying? He said, how long you been down? And I told him. He said, how much time you got? And I told him. You know, even though I got 2 life sentences, my life sentences are different than his, but I didn't tell him that. I needed him to know that I could relate to him. You understand? So he looked at me and I could see in his eyes that, you know, all of the excuses that he was using to justify his behavior, he couldn't use them with me. Right? And I said, so what is it that you want to ask me though, bro? What you want to ask me? Because I know you want to ask me something. And he looked at me and he said, Joe Tisa, man, and I'm watching, you know, I look eye to eye with people. I'm looking you in your eye. I ain't gonna let you get away. You feel what I'm saying? If you come at me. So I'm looking in his eyes and I could see the tears start to well up in his eyes, right? And he looked at me, he said, man, how do you do it, man? And I said, brother, and I reached out and I put my hand on his shoulder, right? And I said, be specific with your question. How do I do what? He said, man, how do you get up every day, man, and keep wanting to live, man, with that kind of time? I said, well, I ain't really never thought about wanting to leave like that. I don't want to hurt nobody else. You know what I'm saying? If I were to do something like that, OD or whatever, man, that'll crush my people. Don't get it wrong, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't necessary for him to know that I ain't really never been into the drug game anyway, as far as using like that. I might smoke a little weed and whatever. I popped a Valium here or there, whatever, way back in the day, drunk a little liquor, but I ain't never done nothing hard, not gonna do it. I ain't never seen the fascination in it, but it wasn't necessary for him to know that. All I wanted him to focus on is the people that he was gonna hurt if he actually left here like that. You feel what I'm saying? Just give up like that, right? I said, besides, don't you wanna, you know what I'm saying, continue to write your story through your actions? And he said, what you talking about? I said, when you die, is what you did the last thing you want people talking about, you know, as far as your crime? Is that what you want them talking about? Or do you want them talking about what you did after that? How you got back up? How you confessed your sins? You understand what I'm saying? To the Most High and got back up. I said, have you ever thought about that? He's like, nah, I didn't think about it like that. He said, man, but, and he started to cry. We standing right there on the sidewalk. He said, man, I want to go home. I said, brother, everybody in here wants to go home, man. But we did what we did and we got to pay for what we did. And these people that run these places, they decided that the kind of time that we have is what we got to do to pay for that. I said, but it's not over. I said, everyday laws change. Every day things happen in the courts, but you see, you got to put yourself in position to be able to take advantage of that. And then even if nothing changes, right, you got to be able to contribute to life in spite of your circumstances, regardless. I said, because you are worthy. He said, man, I just don't believe that. I just don't believe it. I said, well, it don't even matter what I say. Until you get to that place where you really believe that you are worthy, it don't matter who you talk to. You're gonna always feel like that. I said, the main reason that you like that, bro, and I said, I'm speaking from a place of experience. You haven't forgiven yourself, man. Do you believe what you did was right? And he looked at me and said, Joe T, not now. I said, so you telling me that when you did what you did, you thought you were doing right? He was like, no. He said, but that was just the streets. I said, so you knew it was wrong when you did it, right? But you did it anyway, right? He was like, yeah. I said, you were just like the rest of us. You got tricked into believing that lifestyle mattered. And now what you got to do is do everything you can through your actions, how you live, is to disprove that, because somebody's watching you. You don't get to give up and check out like that. Then I hit him with that 1-2 punch, right? You know what I'm saying? That KFC. I said, that's the coward's way out. And then he looked at me. See, you got to know when to drop them bombs when you talking to somebody like that so they'll get it. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? You don't want to piss them off because they're shut down and you don't want them to walk away. But you got to learn to read their body language. And I'm watching him while I'm talking, and I noticed how his jaws had started to relax. So he was relaxing. You feel what I'm saying? He didn't look as tense anymore. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm starting to drop things on him. I said, you ain't no coward. I see you. I said, I ain't even know who you are, but I see you running around here. Ain't nothing shaky about you. Ain't nothing shaky about you. Except that you running around here acting like some kind of dude that don't know how to control himself, wanting to check out like that. And then he put his head down and he giggled. And when you get him to laugh, y'all, listen to me. When you get him to laugh, it's starting to seep in. And that's what was happening with him. What I was saying was starting to seep in. It was starting to get through. And I looked at him, you don't want to do that, bro. I said, I know getting off of them drugs is a hard road, man. I know that. But I said, it's the best thing for you. It's the best thing for you. And then all of a sudden, I'm telling you, I don't know him, he don't know me, we don't know each other. You understand what I'm saying? But this is what he said to me, y'all. He looking at me. He said, man, I ain't making you no promises, but I'm finna try to quit. Now, again, he don't know me, I don't know him, we don't know each other, so he ain't got no need to be making me no promises. But for some reason in that moment, he felt obligated to that conversation. He felt obligated to that conversation. What was being said, it wasn't me. It wasn't me, y'all. I ain't smart enough to have all those words at the same time, we've woven together in the right way. Not me. Y'all know who it's coming from. All praises due. You understand what I'm talking about? And then he said, man, I got to get on up his sidewalk and get to work. And I told him, like I tell everybody, be good. When I walk away from anybody, it don't matter who it is, whether it be an officer, a warden, or another inmate, or whatever the case may be. When I finish talking to him, I always say, be good. Be good. Now, if it's the warden or somebody, like I said, be good, sir. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to respect the position and the authority and the person. You feel me? But that's what I say, and I said that to him. I said, be good. Guess what he said back to me? He said, okay, Joe T. And I want it my way. Then I get back down to work, and the day goes by like it always does, and another day, and then all of a sudden, here comes his cellie to talk to me. He said, Joe T, man, dude doing good. I said, is it? I said, that's what's up. I said, that's what's up. I said, what happened? He said, I don't know. Now, apparently, dude never went and told his cellie that he had talked to me. He never told. So I didn't bother to mention that. That's his story. Let him tell it. You understand what I'm saying? I'm going to respect the conversation and the privacy of that conversation. That's between me and him. So if he wants to tell him, he'll tell him. I ain't tell him nothing. I said, man, whatever it is, man, I hope that he sticks to it. You know, because it ain't worth going out like that. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody's worth something, man. But then I switched it up. I said, how you doing, though? And he looked at me. He said, man, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. But, you know, I had those days, too. I said, I get it, dude. I get it. We all have those days. And that's what I want y'all to understand out there. Whether you're young, old, black, white, purple, or blue, you understand what I'm saying? Everybody's going to have those moments. And when you have those moments, don't let those moments lead you to doing something that you will eventually regret. Whether you realize that you are going to regret something or not, you will eventually, if it's something that causes you to mainly you lose your freedom or harm somebody else. You're going to regret that. It might take days, weeks, months, or years, but you're going to regret that. And you got to start to exercise some wisdom to know that if you're doing something that is not beneficial to you, and let me be careful when I say beneficial, because, you know, you could be, let me see, you could be selling drugs, right? Or you could be cheating on your husband or your wife, right? And it's beneficial to you in that moment, right? Because you're getting what you want. You feel me? It's beneficial to you, right? But what I'm talking about, when I say beneficial, I'm talking about a beneficial thing to you that is mutually beneficial to the person that you're with, or the family that you belong to, or the community that you participate in. You understand what I'm saying? With whether they know about it or not. Okay, so if you participating in something that's beneficial to only you, that's not a beneficial thing, because it's not benefiting the other people, even if they don't know. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Are you following me? Let your beneficial be defined by it benefits you, your community, your family. You understand what I'm saying? The people around you that it can affect. Let that be the way you gauge if something is beneficial to you or not. Don't let it be just because it's benefiting you, because it could be harming someone else indirectly. You understand what I'm saying? Or purposely. And you know that, right? If you cheating on somebody that you love and it's benefiting you because you getting that ooh wee good, and I know it's hot, it feel good, wet and sticky and all of that. You understand what I'm saying? Don't get me twisted. I know how that thing go. But then it won't benefit your husband or your wife. You feel what I'm saying? If they find out with it. So it's not something that's beneficial to you then. If you selling drugs and you making all this money, yeah, that's beneficial to you, but it's not beneficial to the people you selling the drugs to, because they can't pay their bills, they can't take care of their family, they can't take care of their kids, but you can. So that's not something that's beneficial to you. Okay? Let's change the way we define what's beneficial. Stop being so selfish. You feel what I'm saying? We're being tricked when we do it anyway. We're being tricked when we do it anyway. And I think that we're just too smart to continue to be tricked like that. To be made to look foolish and laughable. That's the thing. We got to stop being the type of individuals that are laughed at. Nah. That's what has to end. All of this being laughed at. So a few days go by, and I run into dude again. He had a relapse. And this is important. He had a relapse. And everybody heard about it. But everybody was hearing about it before when he was on them heavy. But see, I didn't really know him. I still don't know him, but I didn't know of him like that. You feel what I'm saying? I heard about the ODing and all this and that. I don't know who he is. Couldn't put a face to the name. But now that I can, when I heard about the relapse, guess what I did? I didn't ostracize him. I didn't criticize him. I didn't do any of that. Why is that? Well, I'm going to tell you why. When somebody does something, they're trying, they're struggling, they're striving, right? And then they relapse, or they do this and they do that, and they make a mistake. You feel what I'm saying? When you ostracize them, you push them further down that black hole of despair. Right? See, I know we want to rejoice in that, and some of us, we like, I told you, I knew he wasn't no good girl, and all this and that. We say that, right? You see what I mean? Or we'll be like to our homeboy, that dude is a sucker anyway. He weak, he this, he that. We do that, right? And we do that because it makes us feel some kind of way. We feel good about that. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. Let that be a red flag for you. If you rejoice in somebody else's downfall, you better read your Bible first of all, but if you rejoice in somebody else's downfall, that speaks to something that's going on inside of you. You shouldn't find joy in that. You shouldn't. You should find pity for them in that. And when you rejoice in it, especially if you do it in their face by mocking them, then you push them further away as opposed to pulling them closer to you. Right? Because see, when you're hurting, let's talk about you. When you're hurting, don't you want somebody to hold you and tell you that it's going to be okay? Don't you want that? Real talk. Come on now. Remember when we were kids? Remember when we were kids, right? And something would happen. We run to mama, daddy, granny, grandmama, you know what I'm saying? Whoever, right? We run to them because they going to hold us and tell us everything going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? They're going to pick us up and make us feel good about ourselves, right? So when you get grown and things happen, you go to your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. You go to them, right? When it's a child, you know, and they run to their parents. You feel me? But see, as adults, when stuff happens and you don't have anybody to run to, let's say you cheat on your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend, right? Or you sell drugs and you get caught by the police and you don't have anybody pull you and tell you it's going to be okay. You got to be held accountable, but that it's going to be okay. When you don't have that, you go the opposite way. You go the opposite way. You go to the problem, further down that black hole of despair. Not because you want to, because you think that you don't have an option. Because it's not being made available to you. Society tells you that you're crap, you're the scum of the earth. So you start to believe it. Then you start to act on it. Some people will say, well, you shouldn't believe everything that people say anyway about you. Just because they say it don't mean it's true. We know that. But if you hear something over and over and over again, you start to believe some parts of it and you start to act on it. But here's the thing. If that is how it works, why don't we tell people that keep making mistakes here and there, whatever, you're going to be okay. Keep striving, brother. Keep striving, sister. Pick yourself up. Stop doing that. Sometimes you might have to get just a little tinge aggressive. Just a little tinge. But that's okay. Because you got love intentions on that. Learn the language, man. Speak to that person in a way to where you pull them close to you. And they can feel, whether it's figuratively, you know what I'm saying, or metaphorically or literally, they can feel you put your arms around them. You understand? That's what we got to do. So when the brother relapsed, right? Everybody talking crazy. Man, I knew it ain't nothing but old junkie, old addict, whoop the woo, this, that. They saying all this and that, right? And then, you know, I'm around some of these conversations, right? And I decided that, you know, I done heard enough of that. So I said, man, ain't nobody say that about you, right? When you did this and you did that. See, sometimes people need to be reminded so they can tap into that empathetic side of them, right? You feel me? So I said, man, when you relapsed or you did this and you did that, what did you want, man? What did you need? Didn't nobody say nothing. About 3-4 guys, you know what I'm saying? I kick it with these guys so I can talk to them like that. I said, what do you want? What did you need? They ain't say nothing. They just looking at me. I said, you know what you needed. You needed somebody to support you. You needed somebody to have your back. And now you sitting here talking about him like he don't need the same thing. I said, you know you wrong. I said, it might be funny right now. It might make you feel good to talk about that right now. But you need to re-examine what it is that makes you feel good. Then they looked at me. I said, Joe T, you ain't no fun. That's what they told me, y'all. They said, I ain't no fun, bro. I said, ain't nothing funny about this. I said, this man just relapsed on some drugs. And I said, if he'd have died, would you be standing here right now talking about, man, he bought that on himself. He did this and he did that. And if you would have been saying that, you would have been wrong for that. But somebody loves him. And they would have been heartbroken by that. What would you have said to them? So when this brother got out of the hole, I sent word to him and told him, come holler at me ASAP. Very next chance you get, come holler at me. He flew over there. He came through the door. I gave him some doubt. Put my arms around him. You know, brief hug, you know what I'm saying? I said, you good? He said, I'm gonna be all right. I said, look up, man. You gonna be good. Just be good. You feel me? And he laughed. He put his head. He said, all right, Joe T. I said, man, mean that when you say that, man. He said, all right, Joe T, I heard you. I said, mean that when you say that, man. He said, all right, Joe T, I heard you, man. Be good, y'all. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.